Blast off.
So there's this squirrel, right? And he absolutely loves... Absolutely?
Absolutely.
Brilliant start to a podcast.
Okay.
Yep, excellent. We've set the bar now. So there's a squirrel, and he absolutely loves early 2000s.
I think it's pronounced absolutely.
Absolutely loves late 2000s, early 2000s. Oh, fuck it. Right. I get lots of phone calls from this spam number, so that is ringing like a bell in my head at the moment. I'm going to start again.
No, don't just play the intro.
I've got to tell you a really important story about the squirrel who really likes hip hop of some indeterminable year, right? And he goes out with his mates one Tuesday because he's that rough and tough that he can go out on a Tuesday, and he gets really drunk.
Oh, I can't go out Tuesdays these days.
Gets really drunk, and on the way home, he doesn't make it home that night because he's so drunk. Do you know what happened? Bear in mind, he loves hip hop.
He got his nuts trapped in a...
No. God, I'll give you one more, and then I'll give you the answer as to why this drunk hip hop loving squirrel didn't find his way home.
Because the hip hop hippie?
Because he forgot about Dre. You're listening to the Beat Motel podcast, and we need to warn you that we like to use words like fuck, shit, and syndicalist, butty scrutix, angry flap, and filth biscuits, and we don't often bleep those words out, apart from because we're not complete animals. But if you understand that and you like music, then listen on. Welcome to Beat Motel. We're using new software, so this is going to be even less professional than it is normally.
Well, it's already off to romping start. So.
Well, they do say in showbiz you shouldn't show people up the wizard's sleeve or behind the wizard's curtain. It's probably the... right. We're flowing. We're doing well.
Was that intentional?
I tried to make it funny because I was trying to think of, like, there is something about you don't show what's behind the wizard's curtain, so I thought I'd say wizard's sleeve instead. Just to alienate as many viewers as we possibly can.
And for Americans, and I guess, I don't know if... Do young people read Viz? Do they know what the
is that what it's from? I didn't realise that's where
that's what I thought. It's from the Profanosaurus by Viz.
Oh, the Profanosaurus. We should it just gets... Anyone watching in the States, we get issued this book. I mean, I know you get given guns and stuff, but we get given this book.
This is basically the English version of the Little Red Book, Mao's Little Red Book.
Yeah, there was a cultural revolution in the late 80s in the UK, and the only output of it was the Profanosaurus by Viz.
Now we get,
It has entered into the language a lot. Like when somebody says something that not really all that suggestive, but you could tortuously make it suggestive. We say fana. What's that character that had testicles that were so big that he had to carry them around in a wheelbarrow? And somehow, like, every issue would have a cartoon strip where more or less the same thing would happen. And I think some poor bugger had to draw that every week. Go, all right, what's the chap with the massive testicles and the wheelbarrow doing this week? Oh, that again. Really? Can we not just, like, reprint one we did a few weeks ago? No, we demand originality and authenticity. With every vein on that testicle needs to be different. Because veins on testicles move around when your testicles are that big.
They are, I believe. I'm not going to Google this because I don't want to Google stuff. I'm trying to be more reliant on my own.
I don't want to Google stuff. I'm just making shit up now.
I want to be more reliant on my fantastical memory, and because I read a academic article about oral history, and it argued that, of course, our memory changes every time we recall something. So what we're doing is actually sort of rewriting our memory every time we recall it. So
sounds like a lot of work.
Well, I think our brains aren't very efficient, I don't think. I've lost the plot. This is going really well, Andrew.
No, but importantly, I've remembered the name of the Viz character with the...
They're from Newcastle, that was the point. So everything has to be...
Well, his testicles are from Newcastle, and the rest of him's from Stranraer or Southport or somewhere. His name, I've got his name. Can you remember the name of the character with the unfeasibly large testicles?
Dave.
No. Buster Gonad. I've got some. See if you can remember some of these. So there was.
I never really read Viz that much. I really my experience of Viz is really through the Profanosaurus. Is it still a website?
Oh, it's bound to. It's still in W.H. Smith. I did see it. I never bought it. That's the sort of thing that I would get. That would be frowned upon in the family I grew up in. So the only time I ever saw copies of Viz were on school bus trips. Now, school bus trips, if you go to a very rural school in Suffolk, are always quite educational because you cram half the year, because they had a small year, in one bus. And we did a trip to Alton Towers once. That sucks if you live in Suffolk. We got there about midday, ran round the park for about 2 hours and had to come home again. So anyway, the point is you have a lot of hours on the bus, and there was always a copy of Viz going round. And interestingly, one time, and I might have mentioned this on the podcast before, one time somebody had a grot mag on the bus. And I'm not going to say the name of this person because I was always under the impression he was eventually going to become a Tory MP, and that may well have happened. But he was really quite cocky and pleased that he had this grot mag. And somebody got hold of it on the school trip, and when they looked at it, somebody... I can remember hearing them say, "Why has someone drawn underwear on all the models?" And somebody had got using a marker pen or a Sharpie, had drawn underwear, not like underwear, like unflattering Victorian style bathing costumes on every single woman in the grot mag.
And now that person is an artist.
Well, it gets worse because if somebody is like, "Why did you do that?" It wasn't me. It wasn't me. It was my mum. His mum had drawn it in, and he seemed...
Why would you tell your parents about these magazines in the first place? Look,
well, it's before the Sunday supplements were huge, so some kind of middle-class England kind of breakfast tables were probably littered with jazz mags.
What's a Belgian biscuit?
What's a Belgian biscuit? Go on. Have you got have you found the Profanosaurus website? This is just going to derail the entire episode, and I'm all for it.
I think they've taken it down. You can now send in entry. You can still send in entries, but I think they've taken it down because it's probably quite a money spinner for men of a certain age at Christmas.
It's a fairly safe bet. If you were born between 1965 and 1985, then you know what Viz is and it has a special place in your heart.
In Viz's Profanosaurus, the Belgian biscuit is a running joke for a sex practice so horrible no words can describe it.
What's a Belgian biscuit?
Exactly. Dear listeners, if you know what a Belgian biscuit is, please send in your entries.
Well, it's not like a blue waffle, is it? That's something I've never looked up. Like when gay friends tell you about something that's a heterosexual alleged sex act, that just don't use Google image search. Don't look it up. You're looking it up now. Don't. We'll either... Oh, no, there's some things you can't unsee, and I roughly know what it is, and I do not recommend looking it up. No, don't. Was that what you're doing?
Medical news today, blue waffle disease.
The blue waffles.
This sounds like a joke someone was having in a pub that the Americans have taken as a literal thing, rather than along the same lines. And what was that thing I sent you the other day? This is along the same lines as nonce finance.
I love anything like that. It pops up in my work world all the time. So PowerGen was a company that bought up loads of utility companies all around Europe, and so that they could denote which country the website was, there was PowerGen UK, there was PowerGen Française, PowerGen Deutschland. So the domain name for the Italian one, can you guess already what the domain name was? It was... Go on, just say it. Just figure it out.
PowerGen.it.
No, that's the boring answer. It's before kind of top-level domains. It's when everyone was doing .coms. No, powergenitalia.com. Or powergenitalia.com, but powergenitalia.com's just so much better. Do you know what? I've often said that at the family dinner table. Power genitalia is better.
I like to... have you updated yours so it's it's a USB-C these days.
No, I'm still stuck with the lightning connector. But I misunderstood. I misunderstood the brief. As teenagers now say, they understood the brief. I misunderstood the brief. And the church at the end of our road has a huge lightning conductor that runs down from the top of the tower. And you really don't want that anywhere near your genitals. At all.
I think
it's a lightning connector, but
I think the more distance between anything to do with religion and genitals, the better.
Wise words, mate. Just to start kind of like really kind of cashing in on all the 80s and 90s references. Wise words, mate. I've got some names of other Viz characters. I want to see if you can remember them. There's a couple I'm not going to say because I know the whole point of Viz is that it was edgelord. Is that right? Like edgy and very, very silly, but there's still there's words I'm just not going to say these days. So I'm going to tell you the name of someone, and you have to tell me what their modus operandi was. So, Sid the Sexist. I mean, what could he possibly have been about?
I think he was a misogynistic caricature.
He was a milkman that did a lot of work for charity. No, he a clueless Geordie lad who constantly failed to chat up women with outdated and offensive banter. That just sounds like a documentary for a certain type of man, doesn't it? I don't know why he's got to be a Geordie. Oh, they were Geordies, weren't they?
Yeah. Write about what you know. That's that thing. Write about what you know.
Speaking right about what you know, if I was a cartoonist in Viz, I possibly would have written this character. Bear in mind experience. Johnny Fart Pants. What do you think his modus operandi was?
He had IBS.
I love that only because I have had loads of discussions recently about kind of like how some behaviours at school, my ADHD at school was just you're a naughty kid, blah blah blah. So, like, through the modern filter, you can go, okay, well, maybe it was that. So the idea that the modern filter of Johnny Fart Pants is that he just had IBS, and we should have given him more. Is it more bran or less? I've never been sure, which might be the root of my problem, really. Mycelium husk, that's what you need.
Well, I got a very annoying email by this company Zoe today, yesterday. They say. Listen to an American doctor called Dr. Bulls.
Is that another Viz character, Dr. Ballsack?
The Bulls Wyshich. He's a board certified gastroenterologist.
Board? Did you say?
Board.
Oh, right.
BORED. Cardboard. It's all going over the shop. We haven't even got to the riffs of the week yet.
We haven't even told people we're a music podcast or discussed music in any way at all, but fuck them. If they're stupid enough to listen. Love you all.
But he's got books that talk about fibre. It's all about fibre.
No, I did the Zoe thing, and it was helpful, but I've since spoken to quite a lot of people who said it's not pseudoscience so much, I don't give a shit. It meant I started eating things I hadn't been eating, and I stopped eating things that turns out were making me uncomfortable. The fact I had to spend a slightly eye-watering amount of money to find that out is probably says more about my lack of self-awareness than anything else. If I keep hitting my leg with a hammer, right, it always bruises. Right, so I'll speak to somebody who'll do a diagnosis and go, do you know what, stop hitting yourself with a hammer.
I guess what upsets me about it is that you turning people's... It's always this sort of thing of turning... Oh, look, Zoe is a startup from people who are professionals in the medical field, and they are researchers and they're academics. And I always find it slightly offensive that these people who have this knowledge and have benefited massively from funding, which is, I would think, the university is supposed to be for the public good, are then using it to line their own pockets, essentially. I don't know what their profit margins are, but they're all over the place in the UK, and it's a bit like you can afford good health if you can have good health, gut health, if you can afford it.
It does seem to be massively behind, but we ought to move on and So Johnny Fartpants is a man cursed with uncontrollable flatulence that ruins every situation. So yeah, that's very.
That's what he's just done. Yeah, fuck him.
Billy the Fish.
He's a fish.
No, he's half man, half fish, and he's a goalkeeper in a professional football team. Of course he is. Mrs. Brady, old lady. Basically an offensive old woman.
Oh, it's the two slags are the one that were very famous.
That's the one I wasn't going to say, the fat slags. That actually became a full-on animation on TV. The 90s was weird.
Wasn't it a movie?
No, surely not. That was the one that was... I wasn't going to say. Oh, God, just looking at some...
Fat Slags was a 2004 movie. Jerry Halliwell is in it. Naomi Campbell's in it. James Dreyfus.
When did it come out?
2004.
See, I was about to say, fairly modern then. No, 21 years ago.
No offense to anybody else in it, but they're the biggest names. Yeah. They convinced an American to be in it, and Anthony Head was in it.
Oh, right, blimey. He's a bastard in Ted Lasso. It's quite brilliant. There's a few here that are really obvious that don't really... There's no point in talking about. Spoilt Bastard, Doctor Pooh, which is a Pooh-themed Doctor Who character. Then there's one that I just read as Millie Taint, and it's not, it's Millie Tant.
Review for The Guardian described the Fat Slags movie as depression seeps out of the screen like carbon monoxide. But when he wrote that, he was very pleased with himself.
Oh, it's a Guardian journalist, of course he was. Yeah. Oh, man. Tin Ribs, the Robot Boy. And that seems sort of quite innocent and quite simple, really. Nobby's Piles. Oh, dear God. Fat Sod again. Major Miss Oscar. Should we have a riff of the week?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go for your riff of the week. The button's in a different place. Oh, let's see what happens if I press this. Sorry.
I regret that time in Reno with the drugstore trucker pills. They had me feeling fried and broken. I couldn't shake the chills. You might long for better days gone by, or the loves you thought you blew. But you'll never catch me crying tears today in tomorrow's stew. It's true that I'd done better had I...
That's one of those country songs. I assume that is country. I'm not massively up on the thing, but you're like, do. Fuck, that took a turn. It's just like, I was getting gas station trucker pills, which I'm guessing is cheap speed.
Yeah, I imagine too. So this is a guy. This is a weird thing. I don't know if this is a piss take or this is just like a satire on classic country sort of stuff. The album is put out by a record label called Perpetual Doom.
Yeah, I spotted that.
It's it's supposedly Gary Owens Jr. and this is from Super Hits Volume 3. And then it says Gray and then there's a guy called Greg Olin, who I think is supposed to be Gary Owens.
Greg Gonads with a wheelbarrow.
But basically, it's like I don't know. Maybe it's a bit of a love letter to that sort of more sort of honky tonk. Every song's the same, but the story is really sort of interesting. Sort of style of country music that I like a Hank Williams sort of.
We've talked about this thing in music a few times on the Beat Motel music podcast, where some people do a very, very good, I don't want to call it pastiche, but very good homage to an older genre. So The Big do it fantastically with, Scatterlight style ska, and when I saw the cover to this, the album's called Super Hits Volume 3, which is just marvellous. And it looks like a load of CDs that used to be available in post offices and newsagents when I was a wee lad in the late 80s, when CD manufacturing suddenly got really cheap. Their record labels sprung up, and they realised that basically the copyright owners had just abandoned or were dead, or they could buy the copyright very, very cheaply. So you got a lot of albums with titles like Super Hits Volume 3 and covers that look exactly like the cover of this album. So even aesthetically, I think it's quite genius. I just assumed it was an old album. It came out, what?
This year. It's not out yet.
Oh, it's not. It's out June 3rd. Put that date in your diary, kids. But it looks to me like the chap, his last album, I Have Some Thoughts, which is also a brilliant name for an album, and I can almost picture the cover for that, was 2023, and it's described as being a bit more indie rock, which is never something I want to hear blended with any genre, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, the songs the songs they released for it on the Bandcamps are really good, and the lyrics are funny, and the music's very well observed. It's a bit Harmar.
Right, yeah, another person, Harmar Superstar. So bear in mind the potential lack of self-awareness of some parts of the country music fandom, to put it that way. Do you think this could blow up in a similar way to... Who's that other lad that is... guy from South Africa who's massively famous now? You chose a clip of him with Willie Nelson.
Yes. God.
Wears a mask.
Yeah.
Doesn't
the name Bronco comes into my mind. I'm not going to Google it.
Oh, right. So
Orville Peck.
Orville Peck, yeah. Which, again, is... I've heard a lot of his stuff. I keep hearing that music, and I don't know if it's just cognitive bias. Is that what you call it? Where you hear something or see something or learn something, then start to see it everywhere. You're biased towards seeing or hearing it. But a lot of his stuff, I don't know how it's country at all, Orville Peck, and that is going to get some hate in the comments. Believe me, it's good. I like it, but there's more of a crossover between Orville. There's more of a crossover between Orville Peck and Harmar Superstar than I thought, because the other bits I've heard are quite sort of soul disco-like. But yeah, good riff of the week. Nice one. My nose is running, so it's going to be a joy for anyone watching on themselves in a darkened room, gently sobbing with a bottle of Pepto-Bismol. Here is my riff of the week.
I thought it was just going to keep rising and keep rising.
Just explode.
Just like, and just get to this really ridiculous pitch, and then just stop.
How good's the bass response in your headphones? Because the bass on that clip, when I did the clip here in glamorous Beat Motel Studio A, I've got massive speakers, and the bass was making me. It almost gave me a semi. It was very, very penetrating.
I don't know. I never get. I mean, yeah, it was okay, but it wasn't. I'm never sort of enamoured by that sort of sub-harmonic bass sort of thing myself.
It's one of those lame things that, because I've tried to make it, I know how difficult it is. You have to cut out everything below 100 hertz, otherwise it just makes everything else muddy. One of the clips that YouTube always suggests for our episodes is beat making and studio techniques, and like, when have we ever talked about that? I chose that. It's a Current Value is who it is, and the track is Serendipity. I listen to that kind of drum and bass very, 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 very rarely, and only tend to do it when I'm in glamorous Studio A on a bank holiday or a weekend there's no one else here, because when that's really, really loud, then it is quite brilliant to work to, because it's sort of, I don't want to say dumb enough, because it's not dumb, but it's other enough to all the other stuff I listen to that it doesn't distract me while I'm working.
Oh, there's certain music that your brain sort of like your sort of brain is sort of predisposed to engage with. Like I can't work to anything with lyrics, and I can't work to anything that's got like there's a certain range where I think a lot of vocals and a lot of like tromboners really sort of messes up like my ability to think straight.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, the sonic thing that blocks the way you can think is any parent knows that when their kids are whiny toddlers, that whiny noise, you can be in the middle of washing up or like literally spreading butter across a slice of bread, and when that noise comes, you just stop. Your body just ceases to function for a second. But anyway, I thought we don't have much drum and bass, so I thought I'd chuck some in. So, do you want to reveal the gossamer thin theme that we have for this week's episode of Beat Motel, which is episode 128?
Sunglasses.
Yeah.
That was the brief I was given. It's the brief I worked to, and it was actually quite difficult.
It was
satisfyingly
for something that was so very, very easy to choose as a theme. I mean, to me, I chose this theme, and it smacks of when I used to do IT support many, many, many years ago for the American military. I'm not going to tell this story, or am I? Yeah, I am. I used to have to log into people's computers to fix them. So they'd like, oh, my computer's bust. And then they'd bugger off somewhere and they'd be gone for the day, but I had to get the computer fixed. So, of course, they all have passwords on. So I used to sit down at their desk and I'd look around the desk and go, who's that football team? West Ham. West Ham, I'm in. You know, it was that kind of thing. And this theme for this episode, I think, worked in a similar way. I was like, you were like, what theme? And I was like, looked around the room, saw some sunglasses, and was hoisted by my own petard.
Let's see what happened. I'm curious about what your choices are, because I thought I might have been stepping on some toes with my last choice.
I think I might be stepping on some toes with. I chose mine, and then yours came in, and I perhaps foolishly have not changed what mine are, but I thought you might. I thought you might enjoy that. So here's your first choice, which I really struggled to find the clip for because I thought this person's first name was Ray. In fact, it's I'm pointing at the screen. No one can see that. It's listed on the screen as this, but here it is.
Oh, it's typo.
Oh, you actually did say Ray.
Clown they call the Sandman tiptoes to my room every night, and just to sprinkle stardust and to whisper, go to sleep, everything is alright. I close my eyes, then I drift away into the...
Oh, that's too short. I want to listen to the whole
Something
thing.
so somnambulant and reassuring and comforting about Roy Orbison.
Oh.
I hope that bit makes it onto a clip. So why did you choose that?
Roy Orbison.
Do you agree though?
Really
it's just like it's like a weighted blanket or something.
I mean, the voice is so there's something so warm about the voice, and the delivery of it, and yet so lonely. Like you're being comforted, but it's your only comfort in a very cold, very desolate world, and that it's not the worst comfort to have. At least it's a thick blanket rather than a thin one. That's Dreams, not to be confused with In Dream. That's Dream, rather than not to be confused with In Dreams. Another song on the same album. And I just, like when you said sunglasses, I always just get a picture of Roy Orbison in Roy bands. Hi, I'm a dad.
Roy Orbison in Roy bands, fucking brilliant. I'm going to remake the trailer for this show because we for Beat Motel. It's been there. The old one's been there for so long, and it is funny. But it's the episode. Actually, who am I kidding? Nothing's changed. I just want to put together a reel of knob gags and us laughing at puerile shit, and I think that'd be a better trailer than us trying to explain what we actually do. But yeah, Sunglasses, Roy Orbison, jobs are good. And let's move on to my first choice, which is this.
Up against your will, through the thick and thin, he will wait until you give yourself to him. Fate, up against your will, through the thick and thin, he will wait until.
Now, I don't dislike that, but for anyone who hasn't listened to this dumpster fire of a podcast before, we can only play 30 seconds of any clip. And I don't dislike that track, but sometimes 30 seconds sounds longer than at other times.
Yeah. For me, the Roy Orbison track didn't last long enough. That was sort of...
Oh, I'm definitely agree with you there.
That was like, oh, okay. He was venturing very bravely into the very, very top ends of his range. There.
What, that singer... Well, it's Echo and the Bunnymen,
Yeah.
the song Killing Moon, which I kind of like hearing snippets of, I've just realised. I like hearing it when I hear it for less than 30 seconds. But I chose this because when I think of sunglasses and singers, now I think of Roy Orbison. But I saw Echo and the Bunnymen when my band played Latitude Festival. And he had a cigarette and sunglasses, and he was just like locked to the microphone. You know, sunglasses, cigarette, which he didn't actually smoke. It's just there, and apparently that's like a thing. I don't know if he got special artistic dispensation from the indoor smoking laws around that. But that's just what I remember. I just remember it being a pair of sunglasses and a cigarette singing songs. This might not be one of the most intellectual or kind of deep diving of themes that we've had, but fuck it.
But it
Get
just
what you
sort of
pay
like it brings into this sort of, there's this aspect. Okay, this is trying to over intellectualize it, but there is an aspect of stuff after the, I'd say sort of art, like the American hardcore sort of movement onwards, where people sort of discarded the concept of stage clothes, because punk very much, the original, the 60s, the 70s punks in the UK very much.
In the UK, I was going to add that caveat.
Yeah. But the hardcore scene and more I guess the American scene was much less fashion focused in many ways, and much more like stripping down everything, and yet at the same time that aesthetic of stripping down everything becomes an aesthetic in that way. It's an image of a stripped down aesthetic without actually having a authenticity to it, which would be the smoke. Having said that, it could be that was his last cigarette, and he was saving it, and he was really sort of like keen for it, and
It might have been a stunt fag.
Yeah.
Just to confuse the American listeners, which we don't have again. Of course, stripped down aesthetic was one of the less popular Viz characters.
I mean,
just empty frames on the page. So that's, I guess they were kind of goth, Echo and the Bunnymen, but that's 1984, and the musical aesthetic of that, I think that sound, listening to it then, it did have quite an impact. I can hear the National, not really Nick Cave because he sort of did his own thing, but other than that, I've completely run out of things to say about Echo and the Bunnymen.
I don't. They're always one of those bands that I've had a fleeting interest in, but I can never be bothered to actually sit down and listen to.
So let's move on to your next choice, which is this.
Just tonight, since back when I was 8, but I don't mean afraid. I'm gonna nick the collection plate. I got nothing against church. I need people to go there and show there. I need to really understand. I come against that weekend, so change their behavior. So many people that we can have cigarettes from the pellets of hope. I should know, I should go there myself. That's the day it came out cheap.
Topical choice.
Well,
topical.
and that's the choice. That was the purpose of the choice of the track, you see. Whereas the sunglasses link is that I associate, again, sunglasses just went Captain Sensible. Always a beret and sunglasses. We should make the beret the next
beret. We could just about do that. I very much favour
great lyrics, though. I'm going back to the church tonight, just like back when I was 8, but I don't mean to pray. I'm going back to nick a plate. I've got nothing against church or any people who go there and show their plain ignorance and don't understand. A congregation at weekends won't change their behaviour. So many people are weak and have to seek answers from peddlers of hope. I should know. I used to go there myself. That's until the day I became anti-pope. Fucking great lyrics. What?
I've got something to say about that, but bear with.
It's going to be fun tonight, spreading the news that around town that vicars are transvestites with a fetish for robes and gowns.
I forgot my props, so I'm going to have to go back a bit now. But
you got Captain Sensible glasses.
Well, no. First of all, I've got the Roy Orbison sunglasses.
That's what he sounds like, Roy Orbison.
I think Roy Orbison belching, simple as. And these are genuinely the sunglasses I wear every single day. And I have a large collection of these Dayglow style sunglasses, and it wasn't until I saw the Damned documentary, which they released they set it to free on.
Oh, those are funny glasses.
These are just on to hide the bags under my eyes, but they set
I need some now.
They set it for free on YouTube, and I was watching that and I was like, shit, I didn't realise how much of my aesthetic comes from Captain Sensible. But my first exposure...
It's all the berets that you wear.
My first exposure to Captain Sensible, first time I exposed myself to Captain Sensible was was when he was #1 in the charts with a song from a musical, East Pacific, South Pacific, medium stripped down aesthetic Pacific. He had a smash hit with Happy Talking, and it was such a smash hit that when things leak through from the punk world and you realise they're either over or they've reached the Man on the Clapton omnibus, they've reached saturation, is when a song gets included in a village pantomime. Mm-hmm. And we, in Wicker Market in 1980, whatever year that was, we included Happy Talking in the village pantomime, and I danced a little number to it. We also included Gold by Spandau Ballet, but that I didn't dance to that one, although older girls did. So it's probably a bit ingrained in my mind for reasons we ought to move on. The Damned, so that's from Machine Gun Etiquette, which is not an album I ever listened to. I know Damned, like
Machine Gun Etiquette is fucking brilliant. Like the bass at the end of that, like the bass movement at the end of that was really good.
Has Captain Sensible, had he moved over to guitar by then?
Yeah, Brian James had left by this point.
Yeah, Brian James, R.A.P. Him and the Pope. Oh. So you got a double whammy there. Well done. Yeah. That's almost topical.
Both wrapped up.
Both wrapped up. But you can for that, considering that's 1979, it really surprised how much of that song sounds like so much mid-90s to early 2000s skate punk. It's like, holy crap, it's that. Because I sort of know where that stuff came from, skate punk, but never seen such a viscerally clear line between a band in the 70s and skate punk. It's that. It's the lyrics that are interesting, but the singing's not rhythmical. It's not cowtailing to just making it fit. It's overlay. It's going past the end of bars and all that kind of stuff, and the guitar's just kind of going for it. So I thoroughly enjoyed that. So the link for that one was Captain Sensible sunglasses.
Yeah.
I shall like that. That's another great one for the audio podcast, isn't it? Shit, I can't see the screen properly now. Right, so my next choice is potentially controversial for reasons that will reveal themselves. I've beefed that up too much now. It's not that bad. It's fucking shit.
And of course it wouldn't be like me.
Now, can you guess why I chose that?
No. What's the link?
Well, it's by Skeeter Davis, and the song is called Sunglasses. And when I was doing the research...
Lovely, it's lovely.
When I was doing the research just now, I was like, I always like to see who the producer is and all that stuff. And the producer's Chet Atkins, but because my brain's fucked, I read that and read the producer as Chet Baker, and I was like, wow, he had a range, didn't he? Bloody hell. But it's just, I love... As the older I get, the more I like that mid-'60s Phil Spector style, because this isn't Phil Spector at all. Just nice music. It's just nice music.
It's lovely. It's a lovely song. Nice choice.
But hiding behind your sunglasses to have a little cry and all that bit. Now, it was written by someone who has a very interesting name, and sometimes it's really clear that people choose a pen name, or the name they use isn't their real name. My real name is not Andrew Culture, but it's not a name I chose. You can't choose your own nickname. So the writer of this, his name, I'll give you his full name, John D. Loudermilk. Now, I've never looked at milk and thought that could be louder, or desire that milk to be louder, but John D. Loudermilk. No, so I know that some American names, a lot of original ethnic names were lost at Ellis Island, because they'd come in and what's your name, and they'd give a long Russian name, and they'd go, oh, you're Jones. But I don't know if they just had somebody with particular creativity on that day at Ellis and just went, look, again, the thing of looking around the office going, name. There's some milk over there. Louder milk.
This one, I've done that one. I did quieter water.
So there's all these American families with like proud historical names like Dead Mouse by the Window, Slightly Foggy, Pissed Myself, Fucking Tuna for lunch again.
There's a name. Oh, I just pissed myself. Okay, I didn't have to start that one.
Oh man, God, we're scraping the barrel today.
James pissed himself.
Right, so
do you think that's what happened to Trump? Because Trump needs to fart.
That is such a good joke. It feels like it's had about 10 years in the lead up to it. We could not have written that fucking deliberately if we had tried. That is a moment of genius. Thank you, Dr. Sam, for your commitment. Thank you for your service.
For Americans who don't understand, a Trump in British parlance is a fart.
Oh, I so nearly said a word which I shouldn't say because I don't want to have to edit this episode to cut that word out. But yeah, we can't top that. We're going to have to go onto your next choice here.
Okay.
Which... Oh no, it's not your next choice. Oh, they're all in the wrong bloody order. New software, fuck's sake. Where is it? I can't find... Where's the... No, it's not that. There's some buttons here I need to get rid of. Say that thing about the Trump again.
Oh, Trump.
Package it up into a sentence.
Trump means fart in England. This has really turned into like a multimedia. I mean, fuck the audience.
I'll give you another option. Give us the Trump thing again.
Trump means the past wind. I'd say that was a bit over the top.
That was a bit over the top. I think I forgot to upload your next clip, so I'm just doing it now. Let's see if this magically works. Oh, it's thinking about it. Right, here we go. Here is your next clip.
Levi's and her sweater's kinda tight. She had a West Coast strut that was sweet as molasses. Now what really knocked me out was the cheap sunglasses. Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Oh yeah!
It's like Ross from Friends when he gets his keyboard out. Woo, woo.
That was the ZZ and the Tops with cheap sunglasses. And I feel like the lyrics of that song feel a bit like just thrown together. But
I managed to catch
the music is so cool.
Her
It's like
tight top. It was the only bit I kind of caught. But this ZZ Top are one of those bands.
His lyrics are
I'm
not
going to
on the
like
same game
eventually.
as lyrics aren't on the same level as Roy Orbison or The Damned.
Not at all, but that... God, the fucking sound is so good. I'm going to end up liking ZZ Top. I know it's going to happen.
They've got 3 albums in the 70s, and they're all genius.
So it's only after the 70s they became a bit more kind of Hot Legs and Big Wabs and songs like that.
Yeah, they're much more like it is like blues rock. It's always blues rock, and it's always
Fine by me.
But it's incredibly well done, and they're obviously like the cockiness of that. There's a real cockiness in that song of just like there's an aspect of that song which is this is a filler, but at the same time it's like this is such a cool filler.
Fine, if that's what you need to make the song work, go for it, because everything else underneath it, that bass playing's so fucking on point. Yeah. It sounds good. It's got that sort of replacements, slightly clanky Fender Precision through a valve amp sound, which is just wonderful. And
now, why do we keep getting these fucking recommendations of like beat making?
Well, quite, yeah. But there's I've got an interesting fact about ZZ Top, which you might already know, and if the listeners don't know, then if they know it as well, I don't give a shit. So they were professionals.
Is it the fact that the guy called Beard is the only one without a beard?
No, it's marginally less interesting than that. So, in the 60s, there was a real opportunity. Let's call it an opportunity rather than being negative and calling it a problem, where British bands struggled to find. Sorry, they're blasting out cheesy 80s pop in the factory that glamorous Beat Motel is in the corner of. So English bands, not that easy to get over to America unless you'd already made it. The Beatles getting over there is kind of almost like an odd thing that happened. So because they didn't have the internet back in the late 60s, and if you'd heard bands on the radio, but you wouldn't know what they looked like. You know, it wasn't like they had MTV, or unless you're on Ed Sullivan or something, no one would know what the bands looked like. So this phenomena sprung up in America, where bands who were really, really good musicians and who could play anything, of which ZZ Top are one, would tour America pretending they were British bands, but based on British bands and playing the songs of the British bands. So ZZ Top toured extensively throughout America in 1969 as a very famous British band. Do you want to have a guess who that band was?
The Whim.
What? The Zombies. ZZ Top put themselves out there and said, "We are the Zombies," because Americans do weird British accents. And they toured extensively as the Zombies, playing songs by the Zombies. The odd thing about this is that they toured in 1969 telling people they were the Zombies. The Zombies had split up the year before. So it wasn't like it was even a plausible thing, but it just goes to show how fast news moves now in the modern world, blah, blah, blah.
But also, we can also take lessons from the fact that they used... It's quite Chinese methods, what you call Chinese methods these days, of just ripping off just sort of retrofitting the knowledge. You take the piece and then you figure out how it's done and then you improve on it, which is why China's better at electric cars than
I thought you were going to say better at being ZZ Top than ZZ Top.
They probably are. They probably have amazing... There's probably some Chinese ZZ Top somewhere who's just fucking astronomically brilliant, but no one wants to pay him or them to record their own music, so they keep just covering ZZ Top.
Right, so we loved that a lot, and I'm going to do something now that I'm going to play it, my next choice, and I'm going to let you guess how I feel about it, so I'm going to remain emotionless whilst playing it.
Red violets are blue. You know I got my eyes on you.
I wear my sunglasses at night.
Roses are red, violets are blue. You know I got my eyes on you. Can't see. Can't see anything. Can't see a thing.
I wear my sunglasses at night.
Can't see anything. Can't see a thing.
That's amazing. Well, those vocals
Can
are.
we just hear that bit again, just for that little bit?
Can't see. Can't see anything.
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 Can't see a thing.
Oh
What the
man,
fuck is that? That's awful.
that. It's. I've said before, we don't choose tracks that we dearly love. We choose conversation points. Quite often, they are tracks we really love. That is not one of them. That's Skepta,
I mean,
who is huge star.
who's doing the singing? Because they're the worst bit of it.
Really, you think that's the worst bit of it?
No, I quite like whatever the guy's chatting about. It's not.
It's I can't see anything. I got me sunglasses. I love how like absurdly literal that is. Brilliant.
Yeah, but that's it's funny, and I think it's intentionally funny.
Oh no, I think it's intended to be funny, very much so. I think just to make myself unpopular, I think the kind of it's not garage. What would they call this? Crunk. I don't know. This style of music tends to be a bit fart sniffy and a bit kind of over serious and. So I love the fact there's that line. I can't see anything. Anything at all. But it's a cover of a song by Corey Hart, who is a Canadian singer. I wear my sunglasses at night, which is from 1980.
Can't see anything.
Yeah, can't see fucking it. Like, I bang me groin on this table. Like, never mind feng shui and stuff. Like, don't wear sunglasses at night. Wise words, mate. Thank you, Skepta. So that's kind of bobbins, but I chose it because I'm glad it exists in the world, and it gave us a cheap laugh. So here's your final song, and I think I'm going to surprise you with a fact about this. Oh shit! No, that's not. That's the fuck. That's the start of the track. I've got to. Oh shit! This is the bit one I should have played. So,
Now, do you know what my favourite bit of this is? And this is Smash Hits gave this album 1 out of 10.
oh, one.
Yeah.
So tell you who it is, because I didn't even know they'd released music.
And the pull quote from for the wiki page says Tracy Ullman, the singer, has a unique talent for picking the most obscure 1960s B-side and ruining it.
Oh, cool. Harsh. ...
Frankly, it all seems like a big waste of time.
The video's utterly bizarre, and this is something that I don't think happens now, but you could be a pop culture star, which Tracy Ullman was, and try and launch a music career off it. So in this country, like, I'm going to assume you're like young now, Sam, but do you know who Samantha Fox was?
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm aware.
So she had a crack at a pop career. It was generally like, oh shit, you've got 15 minutes of fame. Quick, get a single out. So Gaza, Paul Gascoigne did a cover of Fog on the Tyne, which is about as much fun as rectal surgery without anaesthetic. And yeah, so Tracy Ullman did a cover of this. Now, I've got one point of interesting and one interesting fact. Which do you want first?
Interesting fact.
This is the first time the same song has appeared twice in our selections.
Oh.
So this is Tracy Ullman covering the Skeeter. Oh, you didn't know that. I thought that would be a surprise. You did know that because you didn't react when I played the Skeeter version at all.
I preferred the Skeeter version actually because this is the result of me going. I'm out of fucking ideas.
Look, I'm not scraping. I've made it through to.
I'm going to Google music videos about sunglasses. I didn't know this song, but I prefer the one that you
the Skeeter one's actually nice. But the second point, which I accidentally already kind of shot me load on, is that when I was listening to this to prepare the clips, I listened to the beginning. So I'm going to play the beginning again, okay? There are so many songs that start that way.
Oh, but that's specifically Phil Spector. That's specifically, the Ronnie Spector.
So there's Ronnie Spector. There's also Tonight You're Mine Completely. So that's another one. But then I realised that how obvious one of the other uses of that is, and it's this.
Don't see what Oasis has to do with it.
If we don't get shit for that, the world is wrong. It needs to be burnt down and started again. And you calling Jesus and Mary Chain Oasis is probably the most offensive thing that you can do to who are largely seen as the gods of the UK scene. But I get it now. It's the same like Ramones and Phil Spector. It's funny that sometimes when we do this Beat Motel, I actually realise something, I actually learn something. Right, so my final choice was that. It was Just Like Honey. Shit, I thought I'd just put that on there as an example. But never mind, that was my final choice. But also because they were very much sunglasses at night. Sunglasses on stage. Sunglasses at the urinals. Sunglasses at the slaughterhouse, which is particularly unfortunate not to be able to see anything. So there you go. There's an episode about sunglasses. Before we go, I want to read one. We're getting a lot of comments on YouTube at the moment, but I want to read one which I like them all. To be fair, I like it when we make people cross. Not for the reasons you might think, but this guy, the way I'm going to try and perform it because it changes as it goes through. So, Pantera, Dave Mustaine, Useless Bellends, who are y'all? Never seen y'all before, and likely never will again. I'll listen to Sweating Bullets and A Moment of Truth later today. As far as usefulness goes, consider entertaining people. There's no comparison. Stick to the day job, boys. Go build a cabinet and run the soundboard for the church. Don't bother speaking on legends like you are one outside your own mind. Happy 420. You can hear the joint he's smoking, which is the Happy 420 thing, you can hear the joint he's smoking kick in halfway through what he's saying because he starts off really angry. And then he says, I think my favourite dig that anyone has ever had at us is to say, build a cabinet. Build a cabinet.
Darling, we have IKEA. We just try to follow the instructions and cry.
I want to make that common use. Build a cabinet.
Build a cabinet.
Oh, come on.
Build a cabinet.
We've got British accents. We can make anything sound like we're being offensive. I'll go on. Build a cabinet.
Or do you want to go down to the pub later and build a cabinet?
Are you having a laugh, mate? You building a cabinet? It's just wonderful. So thank you very much for that stoner guy who started angry, then ended up mellow halfway through a rant. That's absolutely great. Build a cabinet. Amazing. Right, we are done. We are going to finish on time. So I'm going to say goodbye. Do you want to say goodbye? Three, 2. Fuck.